All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott, formerly of Rankin Technical College, and in my YouTube channel that you see right there, the channel itself is JPS-Jeff Teaches Programming, which currently has one YouTube playlist in it, and that is a playlist with between 40 and 50 videos. It's Jeff Teaches Programming-Python, and I've gone through the gamut of Python as far as we went over. Basically, we went over all the keywords, we went over the basic data structures, we went over object orientation, and now we're talking about files. And when I ran the program previously that we're working on here, it didn't work. It works now. So you can see it comes through and it says that what was removed, random numbers, 0, evens, and it said odds because I had an error in there, so it's been fixed. So now it says this file has been removed, this file has been removed, this file has been removed, this file has been removed. You'll notice in this example I do not have any zeros that were generated. All right, but if you look through here, even, odd, 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 even, odd, etc. The evens and odds are working just fine. Since there were no zeros generated, we say no zeros were generated. We show the contents of the evens, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 numbers, and the contents of the odds with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now, there's nothing done here as far as an example. You know, we could have sorted those numbers, but there's really no reason, I don't think, to do that. All right, now I'm going to grab this and I'm going to put this at the top of the program here. So let's get back down to here. There we go. And up at the very top, all right, right up here. We'll do it up here. And that is, so this has got the file methods in it right here. Now, with that said, I'm not hitting on too many of these. If you don't close your file after you're done working with it, when the program ends, it closes anyway. All right, but I'm not going over detach, flush, etc. There, I do have a read in mind. I do have a write in mind. And when you read and when you write, notice you can write a list of strings to a file. And when you can read a line at a time. You can read a whole list of lines, etc. So I tried to keep this fairly simplistic. Now, one thing I did do was I went in and let me get rid of this here. And I wrote this, and there's nothing wrong with this right now, this remove existing file. All right. But I'm going to rewrite it, okay? I'm going to keep what I've got here, but I'm going to comment this whole thing out. So, and don't worry, it'll all be fixed in a second. All right, and I'm going to grab the one that I wrote at the end, the display file contents. I'm going to grab that, all right? And I'm going to bring that up here. All right, and I'm going to change this. I'm going to kind of, you know, instead of display file contents, I'm going to call this remove output files. And I'm going to call that up here. So I'm going to keep all this stuff I've got in here. I'm just going to comment this out. And hopefully you'll see why in just a couple moments. So I'm going to change this, and what I'm going to attempt to do is call remove output files. So I'm going to call here remove output files, and I'm going to pass now random numbers.txt 0.txt, evens.txt, and finally odds.txt. Now you'll notice right away that one thing we're doing with this is I'm taking 4 different calls and changing them to one call. So I've saved a little bit of code there, not like a lot, but a little bit. All right. Now I want to go back to this and I want to kind of massage this in here. So for file name in file names, I don't want any of this, but I sort of want most of the stuff that's in here. In fact, I might be able to take all of it. Let's see. So I'm going to, don't worry, we'll fix everything. It's just a thing with, there. All right, so now it should go through all 4 files that I'm passing in. If the file name exists, remove it and say the file name has been removed. Otherwise, cannot remove the file as it does not exist. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines of code, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines of code. So I've actually written one more line of code, but it's rather than being a function that is called 4 times, it is now a function that is called once. So the program actually should work a little slicker. Let's see if it still works or if I screwed something up. So we'll do a save all and we'll run it. All right, doesn't like something. That's okay. It says here, okay, takes 1 positional argument, but 4 were given. Well, didn't I do that the same way down here? Like, all I'm trying to show you here is just basically, for lack of better words, this is typically referred to as refactoring. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to write better code. Is this code better? I mean, again, you could sit there and make your own determination. So this should say, let's see, file names. For file name in file names. Isn't that the same way I did it here? Display file contents, pass file names. I think it's in the way that this is being called. We'll fix it. I'm not worried about it. File names. I think when I call this up here and I pass it these 4, I think that has to be within brackets like this. Okay, so let's see if that fixed it. So save all, let's get rid of this. In fact, right here, what I'll do is I'll just come back down to here. So you saw the original error, and let's see if I still get an error or if it works now. All right, looks quickly looking at this like everything appeared to have worked. All right, so this is the new run. This was the old run with it. Takes 1 positional argument, but 4 were given. All right, so now the file randomnumbers.txt has been removed. The file 0.txt has been removed. The file evens.txt has been removed. The file odds.txt. So it removed all 4. All right, notice we got 1 0 in here. Good. 17, 13, odd, 40, 14, 22, even, etc. So that appears to be working fine. So the contents of 0.txt, we have 1 0 in there. The contents of even.txt, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11. You'll notice that all 11 are even, and there are 11. And for odds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and they're all odd. All right, I'm going to leave what I had in here. In other words, it wasn't wrong to begin with. It worked just fine. But again, I've replaced all that with just this call. So this is remove random numbers .txt, 0.txt, evens.txt, and odds.txt if they currently exist. So I've just shown you two ways of doing it. We could write one method that we called 4 times, or one method that we call once, and we iterate our way through it. All right, now there's a lot of comments in here. This is upwards of 200 lines, I believe. Almost 190. But I think it does an adequate job of going through everything. All right, so let's quickly, and I mean quickly, just go through this. I'm not going to read the comments to you. I went over those before. All right, let's move this. All right, I'm trying to pretty this up just a tad. Okay, so again, we're importing. This has got all the file methods in it if you're interested in that. We're importing OS, and you may have noticed this already, maybe you didn't, but if I put my mouse over it, I do get basically some quick help here that shows me some of the stuff that's in here. All right, and I think the only thing we really need in here is path, but I'm not even sure. Let's see, we're removing os.path, and we're doing an os remove. All right, so we really only need those. The reason I'm telling you that is we could have said from, basically we could have said from and just imported what we needed, but I don't think it's hurting anything. This allows us to do the random numbers. This we don't need anymore. Declaring these as global variables. I don't think we need these. Let me see if we, let's comment them out. Make sure that the program still works. And if it doesn't, we'll put them back in again. All right, so file, save all. Let's run it again. Looks like I still got output. See that I did. Again, I have no zeros in here. No zeros were generated. I've got 10 evens. And I've got 15 odds. So I didn't need that in there. So, again, leaving code in that doesn't have to be there. All right. What I've done here, basically, for lack of better words, and did I lose one? I had an odds count in there too. That's, being superfluous. That's known as code bloat, because I'm putting stuff in there I really don't need. All right. So all these that were in here, we replaced with this. Okay. When we call remove output files, again, what that does is it loops through or iterates through all of the file names that we gave it. If that file exists, it's removed, and we give a message that the file has been removed. All right. Otherwise, we can't delete it because it does not exist. Now, just so you see this, I'm going to remove those files. All right. So I'm going to delete. So now there's no odds.txt, there's no evens.txt, and there's no zero.txt. All right. And there's no random numbers.txt. All right, why am I doing that? Well, let me clear this. And I want to show you that when we run it now, we should get the other message. All right, again, I thought I removed that. Let me try it again. We could even leave that one in there just, so we were sure we had one of them. There. All right, now let's see what messages we get in here. Cannot delete this as it does not exist. But notice it's been created. So that still works. Again, we have no zeros in here. We have 14 evens and we have 11 odds. All right. All right. So again, we first remove our output files, which are really random numbers.txt, 0.txt, evens.txt, and odds.txt. Could call that zeros. It doesn't really matter. All right. So we do that first. We're starting with a clean slate, so to speak. So that's what this is doing. All right, then we generate the 25 new random numbers. We're calling generate random numbers. We're passing 25, which is the number of random numbers we want to generate. And this is our range. So 0 is our L bound or our lower bound, and 100 is our H bound or I'm U bound or upper bound. And when we do that, it's a very simple routine right there. We're just telling it to return that. We're telling it basically to work its way through all of them in range count. So basically give us 25 of these and return them. Okay, and again, if I put my mouse there, you can see random variable generators, etc. If I want more information, etc. All right. So we're still in main here. And we've removed our output files. We've generated a new 25 numbers. Now we want to save those 25 random numbers to a new file called randomnumbers.txt. And how do we do that? Well, we come in here very simply. This is just to make sure if we had the message either that said that the files have been removed or whatever, they were running into one another. So I just printed a blank line. This says I want to open up a bunch of files, one or more files, with write permission, and I want to refer to it as F. And then for every number that I have in there, that's those numbers, that's the 25, that's random numbers, write them to the file with a new line afterwards. All right? So that's remove, generate, save, and then as you can see here, we call process random numbers or process numbers, passing in the file randomnumbers.txt. As we process this file, as it says, the counters are going to be updated accordingly. Now, these are gray because we're not printing them out in here. What I had to do to make this work was in this process numbers. The reason it wasn't working was in process numbers at the end of the routine, I should have been returning them. And I wasn't. That's why it wasn't working. So if we look through this process numbers, this probably could be broken down into a couple routines as well. All right, I don't think we need this anymore either, to be honest with you. Let's see, let me comment it out. Let's save. Again, it's just a little bit more code bloat. It's stuff that isn't necessary. So I just ran it again. In fact, just to be sure so you can see that I'm doing this, let's clear this. So we will clear. All right, then I will run this again. And there it is. The files have been removed. Again, there's no zero here. We have 13 evens, and we've got 12 odds. So that's all working. All right, so I don't need to make that global. All right, I'm going to set each one of my counters to 0. Then I'm going to iterate through each of the 25 numbers. As I'm iterating through in here, All right, this is going to open up the random number file in read mode. This is going to open up the 0.txt, the evens.txt, and the odds.txt files in write mode. Now I'm iterating through. All right, so this is my iteration. It starts here and it ends here. So as I'm iterating through, if it's 0, I print out 0 is not odd or even, and I increment the 0 counter. Otherwise, I take the number, modulo it by 2, and check if it's 0. If there's no remainder, it's an even number. So if that's the case, we print out that the number is even. We write it out to our evens file. All right, and here we increment our evens count. Otherwise, it has to be odd. So we say the number is odd, we write it out to our odds file, and we increment the odds counter. Finally, when we get done, as it says there, so this could have been, very well, could have been a another routine. All right, right here where we're printing this stuff out. Okay. But that's all we're doing here. So print out final totals. If 0 count is greater than 0, we'll print the number of zeros. Otherwise, no zeros were generated. All right. And I'm looking at this, and I really don't need this anymore. There's a lot of white space in here. All right, so I think I can get rid of this, and that's going to print out our evens, and these are our odds, and then this, and this. And I shouldn't say it's going to print them out. That's not. That's going to basically write the stuff out to the file. Then we call display file contents, and that's going to write everything out. So let's go one more time. Oops, we just do a file save. Save all is fine. So you saw here, like I said, and maybe I'm just a little bit nutso here, but a lot of white space there, more white space than we need there, a lot of white space there, white space there. So now if I come through and run this one more time after making those changes, it should look a little cleaner. Okay, so here is the last run. So the files have been removed. I could get rid of these blank spaces here as well. That would be fine. All right, and there's my numbers. So there's no zeros generated. There's the total evens. There's the total odds. All right, hopefully I've explained this well enough that it makes sense to people. If it doesn't, you're going to have the code. But if it doesn't make sense, let me know. All right, send me a comment. And finally, I'm going to leave this stuff in here where I changed it from remove existing file to remove output files. I could have called this existing file. I could have called it anything. So again, I'm going to do a file, save. I'm going to quit this. And now in my, in here, in my source files, in Python files, all right, I've got the first one done now, which is random file non-oop. All right, I am going to come in here. There's my evens, my odds, my 0, my random numbers.txt. I am going to come in here. I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to grab my comment. And we'll even grab this stuff. Probably I'll need that, I would guess, too. Why? Because now what I want to quickly do before I finish this up is I'm going to open up the random files oop. And let's just go in there and let's make a new file. And again, we'll call this random. In fact, let's call this main. I think we should be able to do that, probably. Main.py. All right. And now when we come in to open this up, that's all that's in there, of course, and it's empty. But if we come in here and paste, now we've got all that stuff in here. And we should be able to come in and just change this to create an object-oriented console program that basically does the same thing. All right, so I'm going to come back with that. I want to save this, put this all out on YouTube, and I'll be back with that one shortly. Thanks.